Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's Friday Reflections on this, the 25th of September 2020. I hope everybody is well and having a good evening, and things are going well in your lives, wherever you are in the world. I'm sorry last week I didn't do the Friday Reflections, and I did read the Qasam Wajagan, which I also did on Instagram, but the one on Instagram didn't take for whatever reason. I think it was to do with the reception where I was at the time. I recently suffered the bereavement of my father, so please excuse if things are not being done as I would normally do them and at the normal times. But today I wanted to do the Friday Reflections, even if it's a bit later than I would have liked. And I'd like to read a little from this book, The Conference of the Birds by Sheikh Farid Attar. And this is a beautiful English translation that I have here, which is by C.S. Knott. That's N-O-W. That's an N-O-T-T. And I found a couple of nice little verses at the back of this book. I mean, this is one of my favourite Sufi books for many years. It's small, but it's such a gem. Thank you, camera. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tears of Stone. There is a man in China who gathers stones without ceasing. He sheds abundant tears, and as the tears fall on the ground, they change into stones, which again he gathers. If the clouds were to weep tears like these, it would be a matter for sorrow and sighing. Real knowledge becomes the possession of the true seeker. If it is necessary to seek knowledge in China, then go. But knowledge is distorted by the formal mind. It becomes petrified like stones. How long must real knowledge continue to be misunderstood? This world, this house of sorrows, is in darkness. But true knowledge is a jewel. It will burn like a lamp and guide you in this gloomy place. If you spurn this jewel, you will ever be prey to regret. If you lag behind, you will weep bitter tears. But if you sleep a little by night and fast by day, you may find what you seek. Seek, then, and be lost in the quest. I think this is a beautiful little verse here that warns against how knowledge that has been developed and become formalized can sometimes be taken for absolute truth. When, of course, whatever field of knowledge that we have, no matter how advanced our sciences get and our humanities and other subjects, these are still an understanding of people according to the level of knowledge of the times. And it's still what people arrive at according to their best understanding. And I'm not faulting any of them. And I'm sure neither is Fariduddin Attar. But if we mistake that for being absolute truth instead of just one of the best understandings that we have of how things are, then we can end up becoming misguided. And especially if, let's say, today, like, we've got state-of-the-art science that's very good. But if you rolled on another couple of hundred years and people were still following ideas that were arrived at now, even though the science had developed further and become more advanced, and ideas had become more developed, and some of the shortcomings and difficulties of current understanding had been resolved, that would be foolishness. And of course, this is something which we do see in today's world, where there are people of various backgrounds and communities who sometimes go back to knowledge that was correct as far as people understood at the time, but it's not necessarily how things really are. We always have to be humble in our learning, is basically what this means. And also realize that there are different kinds of knowledge and understanding. Be in tune not only with your mind, but also with your heart. Because, especially in today's world, a lot of the knowledge that we have is academic knowledge. So this is knowledge which is for the mind and appeals to the mind. But not everything is just mind knowledge. There's also, it's a bit like you've got IQ and EQ. There's that other aspect which we need to develop, and not just be people who are very cerebral, but not really necessarily understanding things. There are people I've seen who can just quote facts and figures, or even quote verses from various books, but then when it actually comes to really understanding, they lack that understanding. So just be careful of this. And if all it takes is a little bit of humility, and always keep an open mind, and not think that whatever field we've studied, whatever we know, it's the be all and end all of knowledge. As long as we keep an open mind and reflect and are willing to give alternatives a hearing, and reflect upon them, and see if they do have any validity or not, then this will not be a problem. And it's not meaning to disregard established knowledge either, but it's keeping a balance. And the one facing this is also a beautiful verse. The sentinel in love. A soldier was in love. Even if not on guard, he could not even rest. At last, a friend begged him to have a few hours' sleep. The soldier said, I am a sentinel, and I am in love. How can I rest? A soldier on duty must not sleep, so it is an advantage to him to be in love. Each night, love puts me to the test, and thus I can stay awake and keep watch on the fort. This love, a friend to the sentinel, for wakefulness becomes part of him. He who reaches this state will ever be on the watch. Do not sleep, O man, if you are striving for knowledge of yourself. Guard well the fortress of your heart, for there are thieves everywhere. Do not let brigands steal the jewel you carry. True knowledge will come to him who can stay awake. He who patiently keeps watch will be aware when God comes near him. True lovers who wish to surrender themselves to the intoxication of love True lovers who wish to surrender themselves to the intoxication of love go apart together. He who has spiritual love holds in his hand the keys of the two worlds. If one is a woman, one becomes a man, and if one is a man, one becomes a deep ocean. Okay, well, that last line, it's obviously written hundreds of years ago, but the general thread of this verse is very interesting. And it's true, if you have that love and passion for something, then you'll really put your all into it. You will not sleep on the job. But if, like today, many people are doing jobs that they're not necessarily suited for, just because they have to make ends meet, and they're not necessarily happy in their work, they don't necessarily believe in their work, they're just doing it to earn an income. No, I'm not going to fault that. I'm certainly not going to fault that, because that is sadly reality. That is the world. That's how a lot of people have to get by. And if a person does that so they can support their family and support themselves, and it's there's a blessing in it, and especially if they do it and they do it also for the sake of Allah, in their intentions in their heart, then it even becomes an act of worship. But the real thing is when you have a passion for something. And Joseph Campbell pointed this out. He encouraged people to follow their passion. So if you can match the two and follow your passion, but also make that your career, make that your work, this is the best way, and this will drive you in what you do. So it's a beautiful verse, and it's very good advice. And it's true, if you really go into something like that, you will become a master of whatever profession it is that you go into, because you're putting your all into it. And obviously this will not be the same if you just follow a normal career just to earn an income. So it's obvious which is better if a person is able to pursue that way. Now, I wish everybody well. I hope you have a lovely weekend. I will again try to do this next week and try to keep to my normal routines as best as I'm able. But obviously with things going on, then sometimes that may not be possible, or I might be doing these zikrs and Friday reflections at slightly different times or something like this. But I wish you all the best. Have a lovely weekend. May Allah bless you and your families, and whatever difficulties which you are going through, then I pray Allah makes things easier for you and grants you the means and the resources to overcome them. And if there's any other challenges in your lives, then I pray Allah grants you the wisdom and ability to overcome that too. May Allah bless you all. Have a lovely weekend. Ameen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. As-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.